Hey you guys, how's everyone doing? Okay, so it's a trip, man. It's a trip. Like this telecom just tells everything. This telecom is everything, for reals. Um, Hopefully it doesn't fall from there. But the purpose of this video is to explain how telecom has always given me the update, like the the heads up to everything that's happening. Um, so if you've been following my channel and you know who I am, by the way, I'm Simon, and I'm Simon Ramos, Javier Ramos. Uh, I started the first of all, I hypothesized the electric flat Earth theory, which we all know is a misnomer. Okay, it's a misnomer, and which that came, all of that came, all of that was because of the um, me figuring out that there was no real satellites in space as seen on TV. Yeah, there's like no real satellites in space as seen on TV. That's ridiculous. And a standby. Yeah, I've already explained to a lot of people how that came about. And I'll go ahead and say the story again for a lot of people that never heard it. It's not a story; it's actually true. Okay, I was doing satellite TV, and this was around 2012. I would say around 2012. And as I was doing satellite, I noticed a few things. Because I didn't start off with satellite. It's not like I started doing installation for satellite all of a sudden. No, I actually started with central office. And in the central offices for Pacific Bell. So I started there, and then I decided to be out in the field. So I started using the. I started doing cable TV installation, and then not long after, DirecTV took over Starband. No, not Starband. Prime Star. They took over Prime Star. Okay. So they took over Prime Star. I like how these boards come already pre-done, pre-made. But yeah, so DirecTV took over Prime Star, and what they were doing, so Prime Star, what they were saying is that their satellite was going to fall out of space. That's what they were saying. And as they started converting, so they sold that to DirecTV, and they started converting people from Prime Star onto DirecTV. And okay, so what we would do is we would just basically go over there, swap the dish, and swap the receivers, and turn. Prime Star was a dual. Prime Star was a dual coax system. So it worked in our favor because we would have an extra line. You would get there, barrel off the coax to make it into a single line. So you would have an extra line for that ran throughout the house up to each receiver, which you could turn into mirror outlets. Back then, having a television in every room was not yet the thing. That was not yet a thing. Okay. Normally back then you would have your regular, you would have your room, the living room where we would have the TV, and then everything else would be, your room would not have a TV. That's how it was for years. But right around when DirecTV came out, that started changing. All that started changing, and they started putting TVs in every room. Well, Prime Star had started that. So we'd go and I would swap the receivers inside the rooms, and then my dad, rest in peace, would swap the dish. We'd be done in about 2 hours, and we were doing these back to back. I can't find the screws that I just had. And so we were doing these back to back, and oh, here they are. So yeah, so we were doing these back to back, and on one route, and that day I was working alone. On this one route, I started in West LA off the 10 freeway, and made it all the way to Ontario. It was 4 job sites that I had to do. So I noticed that along the 10 freeway, because that's where pretty much the houses that were pretty much off the 10 freeway. So as I noticed that all of them, one in West LA, one in East LA, and then 2 in Ontario. The 2 in Ontario were actually on the same block. It was a brand new block that was being put in. It was a new strip housing that had just been put in. And so I noticed that they all had the same azimuthal position on the compass, and they also had the same elevation, which doesn't make sense. I mean, if you know how to aim, if you're a hunter and you go aiming and hunting, and you have the same azimuth and same elevation, and you're a mile away, you're not shooting at the same target. You're just shooting in the same direction. And so that's what I realized that these dishes were doing. They were literally just shooting off in the same direction. They're picking up a signal is all they were doing. They were just shooting in the same direction. It wasn't like they're aiming at one direction, you know what I mean, and they're aiming together, you know, at the same one target in the sky. It wasn't like that. They're in the same direction. Now, when you look it up under DirecTV, it says it's that azimuth and the elevation position would actually apply to a whole zip code. It would apply to a whole entire zip code. And so even at the zip code, it was a problem. And so taking into consideration, say we're going across the 10 freeway from West LA to East LA all the way to Ontario. All right. So that's where we're going, right? That's how far we're going. And if you calculate a curvature, it just doesn't make sense, because even on a curved surface, as you can see right here, the straight line, if we're pointing an azimuth the position and they're pointing parallel, that's called parallel. But if this block was curved, you would have like this. The dishes would be pointing. They were supposed to be off because of the curvature. But of course, I realized there's no curvature. I started keeping track of this on the field, and started telling people. Changed it. Yeah, they were telling people, that there was a space, that the Prime Star satellite was falling out of orbit, with totally like ridiculous stuff, just totally ridiculous stuff, and all of that just didn't make sense, especially with the azimuth and the elevation positions of those receivers. I mean, of the DirecTV satellite dish. And then I noticed that was the same thing with Sky, and I noticed Skynet, and I also noticed that with DishNet. And by this time, I already had installed all kinds of different antennas. Pacific Bell, AT&T was it? AT&T tried a new thing before satellite called TeleTV, and TeleTV had the antenna was at Mount Wilson, and we had to always clear a line of sight to see to Mount Wilson, and they were not parabolic dish antennas. They were square antennas that looked like the Wi-Fi. They looked like the Wi-Fi ones that you see on the buildings. that connect buildings from far away. That they're actually they're bridging. Those are those bridges of signals from one building to another off on the same account, same service provider account. Yeah, so I noticed all that, and I was working with Peace Connection at the time. I told everyone, I was telling everyone, I was as who I am. I've always been who I am, and I started explaining to everyone. I started explaining to everyone that was working together. Like, yeah, this is this and this and that. The curvature. There's no curvature. This is before there's no internet. Internet's not big yet. It had barely came out. Hardly people were on it. There was no. It wasn't really big. There was no social media. There was no flat Earth versus spheres group yet. None of that. None of that. Okay, so I was telling everyone, there's no curvature. This is that people they got all mad. A lot of people were getting mad at me, and then I went in to talk to Pete himself and his son-in-law. His son-in-law was running the. He's an ex-Marine. Dale. He was totally cool. And then his daughter, Martha, I believe her name was. She was running, the administrative part. And they called me into the office, and I was like, yeah, look, this, this and this and that, they can't. There's, and they had a whiteboard, so I drew the curvature. I said if everything is leveled out and straight, if the arm of the leg of the dish itself has to be totally leveled off, has to be leveled off, or if not, you're gonna have a hard time trying to find the signal. The more level it is, the easier it is to find the signal. And so I noticed that. Okay, I noticed all that, and I let everyone know. I was telling everyone. So when I drew that on the whiteboard, they were like, wow, they were in shock. No one had actually even thought about this stuff. So they're like, okay, they're gonna ask DirecTV and they would get back to me. So in about a week, they called me into the office and they told me to shut up and to not bring that up ever again. And I was like, why? What's the issue here? They're like, well, DirecTV said that even if it was true what I was saying, that that there's no curvature and it doesn't, and that the drawings that they still wouldn't be able to tell us how their system works. According to them, they have proprietary technology. Okay, it's proprietary technology that's protected, is federally protected. According to them, they're saying that the reason why it's protected is because of the fact people are giving their social security numbers, and then they're on top of that their credit card numbers. But just the social security numbers alone is bad enough, they said, because that involves the federal government, because social security numbers are federal. And I noticed all that. So they went ahead and said that to shut up, not to be telling anyone. They couldn't tell us how their system worked. Even if they wanted to, they would have to lie to us. That's what they told us. But me being who I am, I didn't shut up. I got into it sooner or later with them. I don't like working for liars. And so, yeah. Okay. So that happened, and I just it kept bothering me. It kept bothering me. On top of Friendship Park is when it actually slapped me. When I finally got the actual slap in the face. on top of Friendship Park, looking out towards the Pacific Ocean. It's a beautiful park, by the way. Very romantic place to take your your loved one. Oh, my baby mama's been up there with me. It was one of my favorite spots to take them. But I was there up there one day during the day, not during the night, and I looked across the Pacific Ocean. I was wondering about the transatlantic, 1901 transatlantic wireless transmission. It's the historic one that the Marconi did, using Tesla's technology to send the wireless signals across. So they sent the wireless signals across, and as they did that, right, so they sent it across. How the sound so they can pick it up at the central office. And so I was looking out. I was looking at the ocean. I was like looking out, and I was like, how did they do that? And it was already on my mind that there was no curvature because of the satellite stuff. So it just slapped me. It was like all antennas pretty much work the same, regardless of the type of dish it actually has. I installed fishbone antennas. Those directional antennas. I installed those tele TVs. I installed so many different types of antennas. So to me, it wasn't a big deal to understand that the dish antenna was not pointing into space. It was just pointing in a specific direction. That's all it was doing. Okay, so having known all that, it just slapped me right there that the reality is mainly flat. On top of all that, I was using the Thomas guide as a map, and the Thomas guide, the way that works is, if you guys look it up, those maps are pretty. They're very accurate. They are very, very accurate, and if you look up the historical part about it, they'll tell you that yeah, they didn't count when they made those maps. They've never calculated any curvature. There is no curvature to those calculations to that map. It's a flat map, and that covers pretty much all of California. I had almost all of they came in pairs. You had the Los Angeles Orange County, you had the San Bernardino Riverside, you had the San Diego, and then the other one next to San Diego, San Francisco, San Jose. The maps came in duals of counties. Anyways, so that's then, right? Then moving forward, a few months back, they started saying that they started sending me jobs for Bitcoin to start removing their ATMs. So I told everyone, hey, they're telling us, they're telling me to remove the Bitcoin ATMs. You guys need to be aware of all this. And I was like, yeah, you guys need to be aware of all this because that means that there'd be only one reason why they're removing the Bitcoin ATMs, because a crash was going to happen. I told everyone, no one listened. I have friends that have Bitcoin. They didn't pay attention as usual, and yeah, they got they lost a lot. They lost a lot. So you're like, Simon, get to the point. Some of you are like, we heard all this before. Like, okay. Point is this. What I'm doing right now is I'm literally going across all Southern California, okay, converting all analog. I am literally digitalizing Southern California. I am going from job site to job site, turning all analog into digital. Not just digital, wireless digital. Okay. So yeah, so what's happening now? Let me explain this a bit further. What's happening now is that you haven't seen my other videos where I've explained some of this already, is December, like on Christmas Day, which is weird. Of all days, they chose Christmas. So on Christmas Day, why not New Year's? Anyways, Christmas Day 2025, they are going to shut down. Okay, they're going to shut down the entire old school POTS system. Now, if you don't know what a POTS is, that means plain old telephone service. Okay, it's plain old telephone service. And so what that means is that's your entire alarm systems. Like pretty much all alarms are on POTS. When I first started this, and I got the VDV and the license, and I started working like this on these jobs, these type of IT jobs, and dealing with the digitalizing of America. Right, I started when I first started about that. When I first started all of this, they were already saying that that's what that's why I have the VDV. That's why they started a VDV, and which started here in California of all places. It started here first, and my numbers are literally in the first 100,000s. A 145051 was one of them, and then the other one. I can't think of it right now, but yeah. So my licenses were literally like my certifications were like, bam, early as hell, and they were telling us that this was gonna happen. And I explained this a long time ago, as a matter of fact, that this was in fact gonna happen. They were going to turn. They were going to turn. Oh wow. Oh, no, that's right. I don't want to cook them up. So, okay. Okay, so, all right, so what's happening now is this. Let me focus on what I'm talking about instead of focus on the board. Okay, so what's going to happen is, in 2025, all this old phone system is going to be shut down, which is big because if you were to try to intersect one of these POTS lines, that's why these POTS lines were not. That's why these POTS lines were used for alarm systems, because you couldn't really intercept them. Nobody could, right? You couldn't intercept these POTS lines. If you wanted to try to hear what someone is saying, you would need an operator to sit and listen. Like the FBI would have to physically sit there and listen to hear certain keywords and hear what anyone is saying. But by this going digital now, okay, this is going digital and it's being turned into internet. Now no operator is needed. The algorithm itself will look for specific words which will be flagged, and they'll be able to intercept these calls. And literally, this is happening in every country on every continent. Where there's POTS lines, and that's everywhere. That's Europe, all of Europe, Asia, Africa, Australia, America. This is South America, This is big. This is really, really big. So what I'm saying is this: they're gonna monitor everyone, everywhere, on whatever they say. Do you guys comprehend this? This is really, really bad. All right, this is really, really bad, guys. I swear. And exactly when I was doing the satellite, I knew that they were lying to us about the space satellite stuff. So I had to deal with that. I had to deal with that because that's a conflict of interest in my. I'm not into being deceitful or lying to people. That's something I'm known for. I'm known for being a very, very, very honest person, which is why I push on truth so hard, and which is why I debunk the globe so much, is because this process of elimination. Um, and so, anyways, uh, I had to tell myself, no, I have to know these things in order to tell everyone, give everyone the heads up. Same thing like with the Bitcoin thing. I told everyone, no one listened, and it crashed. Right now, if you go to 4chan, they're all upset on 4chan falling apart because a lot of the people from 4chan were into the Bitcoin stuff. Anyways, so yeah, I'm gonna end the video right now so I can focus on the rest of the job site. I'm doing this across all California, guys. I'm not the only one. This is happening. This is really happening. All right, an algorithm is going to listen to all of humanity. Think about that, guys. You know why? To save the planet. No, the globe. You hold the toy globe. You're like, you gotta save it. What's up, Paul? They used a little toy, all right, to push this on everyone. They literally grabbed that toy globe and it took like 2 generations only, all right, and they started telling everyone, "You're on a ball. You're on a ball. You're on a ball." My dad said when he was a kid, my dad rest in peace, who made it into his early 80s. He died somewhere around 83. We're not even sure what his age was. And he watched everything change. He was born in the 1930s. He said that what he was seeing was weird. That they never pushed, like, you're on a globe, you're on a globe, you're on a globe. He died years back, and now it all makes sense, why they would say all these things and tell you, yeah, you gotta believe, you save the planet, and give up your rights, give up your freedoms, give up everything. We're gonna monitor everything you say. That's what they're telling us. Yeah, this is really bad, guys. This is really bad. When they start, for them to be able to eavesdrop on everything, it's not even they. It's an algorithm. All right. This is really bad. Anyways, you guys get into the system, find out how it works, give up the information that we need so we could fight it. It's the only way we're gonna do it. Like G.I. Joe, knowing is half the battle. Do you guys even science, bro?